Well, hello there, and I'm delighted to have this opportunity to share with you a cracking idea when it comes to building your subscription and your membership business. As you and I know, there are three things that need to be in play if we're going to go out with our direct marketing messages. Firstly, we've got to have a list. We've got to be having a fantastic list that's going to be potentially responsive to the message that we're sending out, which is why list building is such an important part of the process. There'll be many times that we'll talk about list building, and I'm sure maybe David or Rachel are going to be talking about that with part of what we're doing today. Secondly, will be the offer that's being made. Very important. And thirdly, and these are in order, will be the copywriting. In other words, the words that you've written on a piece of paper that's going to be an email, direct mail, whatever it might be, web page, or in fact, those words when they're spoken and you're using them on a video. So what I'd like to do is to share with you some proven ideas for how you can invite people to a webinar so that you can promote your subscription or your membership program. What I've done is I've taken an example of something that we were thinking of doing. We haven't got around to doing it yet, but it's the formula that we use for everything. And here is a 2-page email. Let's see if I can get that away from the light a bit. 2-page email. And as you can see, I've made notes on it. And in fact, the numbers go from 1 to 24. I was just checking the screen there to make sure you can see that. Okay, yes, you can. And as you can see, I've called it How to Sell on Zoom. So we've sent you a copy of this, and if we haven't, Rachel will give you a link to it in the chat box now. So you can have this in front of you whilst I go through this for you. I'm going to go through each of these 24 points so that you know exactly what I'm talking about and the reason that they're in there. And this is a template that you can use to craft your own email invitation to your webinars. By the way, you can obviously use these ideas for copywriting generally. So let's get going then. So to start with then, in the subject line, what I've done is, I'm not going to keep showing you the piece of paper because you've got yours to look at. As you can see in the subject line on point 1, the idea is that we put in capitals the word webinar in square brackets, so that when the recipient, somebody on your list, gets hold of this email, immediately they know it's a webinar. That catches their attention. That capitalization within the square brackets lifts it in the list of subject lines that they're looking at, subject to where they're looking at those emails. That's number 1. Number 2, we're using the classic how-to, because this is such an engaging type of headline. And in fact, I've got my notes here. You'll remember, because we've talked about this before, E. Haldeman Julius, the man who wrote that book, My First 100 Million Books. And he sold books using adverts where there were lists of book titles and a little box where you could tick the titles that you want, cut the piece of paper out, the coupon, send in your money. This was in the States. Send in your money and the books would come in the post. And the only thing that he had to sell those books was the title of the book. So he was really keen on testing book titles. And he had what he called the hospital. And he would bring titles into the hospital if they weren't selling, and he would retitle them and keep on testing to find out what were the best titles. E. Haldeman Julius said that when he gave a book a how-to title, it would often double or even quadruple the sales of that book. So I picked up on that idea. I've used how-to a lot for my own books. And so how-to is what we're going to use for the subject line. So point 2 is how-to. In this case, then number 3, the point that we're looking at here, is the main hook of the sales message. So in this particular one, how to sell on Zoom. That's the hook. Just those 3 words, sell on Zoom. How to sell on Zoom. Excuse me a second, I'll just get my coffee. I haven't been out to Starbucks. It's one of those keep cups. I'll put that away over there. So the hook that you have for your message is really important. Such an important point because it effectively becomes the headline of this email that straight away, this is what people are going to be engaged with. So how to sell on Zoom is the headline. Nice and simple, isn't it? So can you craft a how-to message for yours that makes this really lift off the page and engages the people that you want to engage? I'm sure that you can. Point 4, you'll see what I've done there in a matching color. I've put a box with my own name in it, and I've called this a Peter Thomson free webinar. So I'm using the power of that word free, really good there, a Peter Thomson free webinar. And the free bit, which is point 5, is again reducing the barrier to entry because free is one of the most powerful words we can use in marketing, and this webinar is going to be free. I've created a series of webinars where I'm using that style at the top of the page, a Peter Thomson free webinar. And the color behind my own name, which you see I've put my own name in white, is a color that matches what's called the hero image, which is the image of the skyline, the cityscape as it's often called, at the top of the page. David will no doubt help you on this and tell you about a website where you can find out the colors that are contrasting and matching for each other, so you can make it look well designed. Next, moving on to number 6 then, is the main headline of the webinar that I'm going to be promoting. So, how to sell on Zoom, again, is the headline. You'll notice that I've put it in inverted commas with initial capitals on the major words, not normally on the word on, but I have on this one because it's sell on Zoom is the major message, but certainly I've not capitalized the word to, and I wouldn't capitalize a single A either. So how to sell on Zoom, and in little letters I've put brackets, or Skype, because I know some people are using Skype. In fact, I was talking to a major accountancy firm the other day and setting up a meeting with them, and they said that they don't use Zoom for their communications. They don't have it at all banned in the company. They only use Skype for it. Number 7, we're saying there exactly who this is for. Ideal for coaches, consultants, and fellow professionals. Not just for coaches, consultants, and fellow professionals, but ideal for. So a little bit of a sales message as well. And I've bulleted them to sort of catch the eyes. Point 2, the 7 steps of ethical persuasive conversation. So that's what's classically called a blind bullet, because we don't know what those 7 steps are. Therefore, it creates curiosity. Therefore, it's called a blind bullet. And then integrity-based methodology and system. And the reason that I've put that in there is for the people who are highly procedural in their language, who know they've got a problem when it comes to selling on Zoom. And therefore, they're looking for a step-by-step process in order to get around the problem that they've got. So that's what I've done there. I've done some labeling. We've talked about labeling before, haven't we, and outer labels, but I've labeled the people saying, ideal for coaches, consultants, and fellow professionals, the 7 steps of ethical persuasive conversation. And I know that persuasive conversation is powerful, attractive, engaging copy, and integrity-based methodology. Number 8 is the hero image, or the cityscape. And you'll probably see what I've done is I've picked one where the bottom is the colored image, and above it, it's clear, it's white. So it's a PNG, not a JPEG. So it's clear behind the image. So I've got space for all this how to sell on Zoom stuff at the top. So it's nice and clear. It's easy to be read. I've also, with that particular image, this is again on point 8, is I've turned down the opacity slightly. So I've reduced the density of the image so that the letters are easily read on top of it. And then because I wanted to lift this date out here in this box, I've taken this same color box as the copy here. So the words here, how to sell on Zoom, and all the rest of the copy there is this same blue. So I'm making sure it's that blue. And then I've used white rather than this pale color on the hero image to say the date and the time. Tuesday, 2nd of June, 9:30 a.m. BST, UK. I've just heard BST, everybody knows it's British Summer Time, but I wanted to make sure it was UK people know. And 1 hour content rich. Not just 1 hour, 1 hour content rich. So I'm selling again. Then we come from point 10 into the salutation. And I use hi rather than dear. It's something I've been using for years. That's why I leave it with that. And the brackets of name is an indication when I send this to Rachel, and she's going to put it through our system, and she will merge with the database that we're going to and replace name with the person's first name from the database. So, hi Fred, hi Phil, hi Barbara, having that to be. Point 11 is, and this is another setup, another label, confident professionals do this. Confident professionals do this. So I'm stating that as a fact. And it almost becomes, when I'm doing this, if you're a confident professional, then ... So this is what's called parallel logic, the classic use of if, then, or because, then. If you agree with this, then the next bit's true as well. When we first built our TGI Mondays database, which went from 0 to 30,000 subscribers in just 3 months when we first started it, 18 years ago, they were free subscribers, by the way, they weren't paying. We use parallel logic on the web page for that. If this describes you, you're a positive person, you don't like moaners and whingers and eggheads, then TGI Mondays is the place for you. It was that classic parallel logic. So the implication is the parallel logic in there. Confident professionals do this. And then another little headline almost, they learn how to sell, then stop selling and allow people to buy. And you'll see I've put that in inverted commas because it's a quote from me. What have I said in my notes? Yes, it's an engagement message, isn't it? Oh, what a difference this makes to everything. Just a pure statement of fact of say it's a fact because it's my opinion, therefore it's a fact for me. And then I've gone into 3 very simple bullets, haven't I? 3 very simple bullets indeed, with odd numbers. Yeah, with odd numbers here. Where have I gotten the odd numbers? No, that's further down the page, sorry. I'm still on number 13, lots of benefits, right? All the fear of rejection slides away, knowing it's being trounced. Really unusual language patterns here. Rejection slides away. I might even have said skulks away. Just a surprise is called broker, surprising broker, that part of your brain which rejects the predictable and mundane, as Roy H. Williams, the Wizard of Ads, taught me. Knowing it's been trounced. All the pressures releases like steam laughing from a kettle spout. You see the choice of that word, laughing from a kettle spout. So making this engaging and charming. And number 3, all the communication focuses on value delivered rather than on the money, which naturally and abundantly flows once the true art of ethical persuasion is in play. Perhaps a bit overuse of adjectives, adverbs, naturally and abundantly flows, but maybe I could have tweaked that down a bit. I would run this through Hemingway, but there we go. So then a nice subhead on number 14 as a question to me from the reader. So this is what you've heard me call integrity-based prestivoxitation. Integrity-based prestivoxitation. This is where I am getting the reader to be the writer of the piece of information. So it's as though the reader had written this. So, but Peter, how do I do this? And then I answer their question. Here's the answer to that important question. So again, I've flagged the question that they've asked as being important. And here we come with a bit more parallel logic when we're talking here about the 15 here. If you've ever been worried about selling your products or services, then, and there's the if then, that's the parallel logic. Now is the time, that's a command, it's an embedded command. Now is the time, no, sorry, it's a presupposition. Now is the time to join me. So here comes the command, join me for this jam-packed interactive hour. And again, this is the reason the and is there is to get someone to read the next line. And I'm looking into this list of bullets here. And 3 more benefits with powerful words. Grasp the 7 steps, not learn the 7 steps, not even uncover, which I do like, or discover, which I also like. I don't like learn. It seems a bit school time to me. So grasp 7 steps of ethical persuasive conversation. Now, I know that this word about these words, persuasive conversation, works really well. So moving on to the second page, looking at the rest of the bullets, discover how to position yourself as the natural, open brackets, logical and emotional. It's a very powerful little copywriting technique to put things in brackets. Again, slightly disarming. It's almost like a conversation, like a little aside. Discover how to position yourself as the natural. Oh, and by the way, the logical and emotional choice. See the way I'm doing that? So that's the written version of it for your clients. Lots of yourself, you. Understand and instantly employ. Employ was fair. Smooth conclusion creating words. This is me saying, here's how to close the sale, but I've tried to say it a little more smoothly than that. Smoothly conclusion creating words and phrases that even the most cynical of clients enjoy hearing. You know what I was doing that. And most importantly, number 16, of course, invoke curiosity. And this is what's called transitional copy or bucket brigade copy. Transitional copy, this gets people to read on. It'd be very difficult to stop there, wouldn't it? And most importantly, yes, what's the next bit? All the subtle differences of communicating remotely, Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, live. So again, I'm trying to touch all the bases there, the subtle differences. So I'm really, again, creating curiosity by saying there are some subtle differences and I'm going to share them with you. These are little known. Just a statement, because they are. I know this is to be true. These are little known and even less used by the few who know. Special knacks to disembodied communication. And again, just making it a little bit unusual rather than obvious words. You've got to be careful not to go over the top with this, but it still works well. And you'll notice that most of the sentences are short. There's lots of white space. This really does make it come together. Now, number 17, right? Further 3 points to build curiosity. Now, right, I'll show you not just what, but precisely how you can deliver your offering and your offers with clarity, charisma, and complete confidence. And there I'm obviously using the power of alliteration. Very, very powerful. It's beautiful language to listen to. This series of threes particularly, as you've heard me talk about, but certainly where you've got the alliteration coming in, with clarity, with charisma, and complete confidence. Very often with this, I miss out that and as the part after the second item. So rather than clarity, comma, charisma, and complete confidence, I miss out that and, so it reads clarity, charisma, complete confidence. If I was going to do that, I don't think that I would have used the adjective complete. I think I'd have left that out, so it would have read like this: with clarity, charisma, confidence. I think that three, and certainly with the alliteration as well, would have worked well. Oh, what a wonderful feeling this is. Not that is, because that is over there somewhere. This is. So I'm bringing that feeling closer. And again, just leading into the next part. Now comes the command as well. This is on number 19, which is the call to action. And of course, it's hyperlinked. Come and join me. Oh, by the way, and that again, you'll see I've put that in brackets. Just this little aside idea of putting things in brackets or using expressions like, oh, by the way, in the same way we would in spoken language. Come and join me. Oh, by the way, nothing to pay. Click here. So a clear command of what to do. Now comes the dates and details, the logistics to it. Webinar, how to sell on Zoom or Skype. Date, Tuesday, 2nd of June. Time, 9:30 till 10:30. Really clear how much time is going to be taken. So that was point 20. 21, an extra benefit. There will be time for questions. Just a pure statement. There will be time for questions. I might have said perhaps there will be time for your questions. That might have been a little better. There will be time for questions. See you there. And again, slight command, but future pacing it like a Peter. So my first name only, then Peter Thomson, then strapline, as we say so often. Got to have a good strapline. The UK's most prolific information product creator. Register your place here. Again, a command. This is in the PS. It will be fun. Brackets with a serious intent or a very serious intent. And then the PPS, you will be able to use, not too sure, could have written that better. You'll be able to use many of the ideas we discuss in your face-to-face meetings too, a double whammy. So you've got the idea of this. So there's 24 ideas from those 2 pages. You've already got the 2 pages with all the red spots on, the dots in. So you can see how to do it. And here, and we'll send you this afterwards now, is the list that you gather I've got lights up there, so it's a bit awkward to see. This is the list that I'd made, which is the crib sheet from how to do that. So we'll be sending you both of these. And if you want to discuss that, no doubt that's going to continue in the webinar as well. And if you've got any questions you need me personally to answer, then as always, just drop an email to Rachel and or Beverly, and they'll forward it on to me and I will be coming back to you. So keep enjoying the webinar, keep enjoying helping people with your subscription and membership programs, and I'll see you on the next one. From me, Peter Thomson, goodbye for now.